Hi, I recently played Dark Souls 3 for a network test. During this test I got to do whatever I wanted in an area with 4 different pre-built classes: explore, fight, PvP, find lore, so on. I wanted to show you 3 things that I would really want to know about if I was someone who didn't get to play this test. These 3 things are updated combat, which is the best yet, level design, the environment you play in, and aesthetics, how the game is presented. I hope to keep this mostly spoiler free. There will be no story included in these videos. A huge shout out to Minionfromhell for providing me with this opportunity. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the updated combat, which, as I mentioned, is glorious. I've thought about how I wanted to tackle this topic for a while, and I ended up writing like an in-depth talk about the tiny differences and how it all works, and then I scrapped it because what I think is most interesting, what you would care about most, like I would care about most, is how the game feels and its new main features, like the new stance. The moment I got in game and began moving around, I could instantly feel a connection to Dark Souls 1. There was a clear attempt to bring back how that felt in this game in Dark Souls 3. There is no more floaty movement that we saw in Dark Souls 2. Yet it feels much more smooth than that of Dark Souls 1, and more refined like the glory that was Bloodborne's. I'd say, as an idea for you, it feels like Dark Souls 1 if originally they had a budget like something around the size of Bloodborne. I think that they've learnt a lot from Bloodborne. You know, everything that went into that game and the community's reaction to the gameplay itself. I'd say they put that result into this game and combined it with Dark Souls 1. Everything felt really responsive and pretty much like I had more control over what I wanted to do, and it felt good. We have the wonderful roll once more, and it feels amazing. Welcome back, invincibility frames, and hello, new bar to be aware of, this blue bar. Now, you can call it whatever you want, magic, mana, or ash, whatever you call it. It now provides a way to track how many spells you can cast, instead of just saying like a limit of 30 soul arrows, and then you're done. If you keep this bar filled via the new ash flasks, or whatever means the game lets us do, you can cast spells all day, every day, infinitely, as long as you have ash. But what's really interesting about this new bar is it actually has a role to play in normal, magicless combat. Meet the new combat stance. Some shields cannot parry and allow you to enter this new stance, or simply two-hand your weapon and then hold what was previously the parry button. Depending on the weapon, you can stay in this stance walking around like a guy who's seen too many sword fight films, or you will perform a short action allowing you for a follow-up attack. Either way, your next attack after pressing this button will be something brand new and hella cool. It depends on the weapon, but you can now do light power stance attacks and a strong power stance attack, which actually costs ash. Mana, if you want to call it that. So basically, when you want to do this new attack, this new combat stance attack, you actually need ash/mana. You cannot perform one of these actions when you don't have enough. Different actions, different types of attacks are going to cost you less or more mana, especially with big meteor weapons. Some of these new power stance attacks are fucking awesome. They all have their own purpose, and ultimately it provides us with even more ways to have combat, and that is something I am very happy with. It fits in with the gameplay very well, and with certain weapons it's insanely satisfying. Here's something that I was very interested in learning about. You remember how in Bloodborne you could hold a heavy attack for extra damage if you time it right? It's actually in Dark Souls 3. It works slightly differently, but I'm very glad to see it again. It's just another way to kill enemies, sign me up. The main change is that there's no satisfying flash to indicate you're ready to go. This could just be part of the test, maybe that makes it the final game, but other than that, charge up for more damage, smash your foes. Unlike Bloodborne, however, it has nothing to do with backstabbing, so don't worry about it. Speaking of backstabbing, it feels just like Dark Souls 1. Walk up, use light attack when around the spine of the enemy, and enjoy a sweet animation. The main problem with this was that it was a bit broken in PvP. Laggy enemies could get ridiculous backstabs and it was pretty unfair. They've added a new feature to combat that. The missed your backstab animation, or whiffing your backstab. If you go up for a backstab that looks like it shouldn't really land and the enemy's probably going to walk away, your character actually does try it. He winds up slowly to do the backstab and swings at nothing, leaving you very vulnerable during it. In PvP, backstabs have become high risk and high reward, which is a brilliant update. Finally, I want to talk about parrying and how it feels like Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2. But the main change is that some shields cannot parry now. We've seen this before actually with tower shields, but take this basic shield this knight got. You cannot parry with it. This might mean we're going to see a lot more bucklers running around so that they can actually do the parry, or we might see people using the few shields that can parry normally. Bonus mention, look how fast you can throw knives now. It's fucking awesome. And that's all I've got for you today, guys. There are tons and tons of things I could talk about for like hours on this, you know, the tiny changes and the stats and, you know, the PvP and all that. But at the end of the day, I wanted to cover the broad topics, the main things that are interesting, that any player wants to hear about, whether they're a pro, hardcore, or casual scum, you know, whatever. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. The other videos will be up soon, in the next few days probably, or they could already be up if you're watching this after the day it was uploaded. You can just click the links in the description, or you can click the links here, or you can click the links at the start of the video. Your choice, whatever. But hope you enjoy the Dark Souls free stuff. Thank you for watching. I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you in 6 months at the release. God, that's so long. Everything felt responsive and like I had much more control over what Alright, fuck, calm down.